The word says that sin shall not have dominion over you or lord it over you, for you are no longer under the law, but under grace. And what does it mean to be under grace? To be under grace means that everything that is true of you in Christ, everything that is for you in Christ, everything in God's salvation and good intention for you in Christ is yours unreservedly, without requirement on you, without any obstacle or impediment. There is nothing that can block it. You're under grace. Imagine grace flowing towards you, and it breaks down every obstacle that's in its way to make sure that everything you need, the forgiveness of sins, the love of God, the satisfaction of God, his good pleasure, his kind heart towards you, his affection towards you, his comforts towards you, his peace in you, everything that he has for you is flowing towards you and can't be blocked. That's what it means to be under grace. What does it mean to be under law? It means that whatever you need from God, there's a requirement of you first. You've got to meet the standard. You have to put God in your debt. You work for a wage. If you can't do it right, you don't get anything from him. That's what it means to be under the law. And it says that sin shall not lord it over you, because you're not under the law, but under grace. In grace, everything that's true of us in Christ is unreservedly ours, because God has willed it and given it to us as a free gift. And that includes, in this context, our death with Christ and Christ's death to sin once for all. We could not die to sin. If you died today without Christ, you would still be in your sin. And if you were raised again, you'd still be a wicked sinner, even in resurrection. Then you'd stand before God in that state, and that would be terrifying. But we've been put in Christ. Of God are you in Christ Jesus, who is made unto us wisdom from God, righteousness, sanctification, and redemption. He is everything. And he died to sin once for all, including you and me. He died to sin for us. Again, you can't die to sin, but he died for sin and died to sin. He condemned sin in his flesh. He stripped its power. And then he puts you in. God puts you in Christ. And he buries you with him in baptism into his death. And you've died to sin. And he put off the old man in the circumcision of Christ. He put off the body of the flesh. He totally nullified the power of sin. And it doesn't have the right to condemn you through the law, and it doesn't have the right to demand that you obey it. And all this is true because you are not under law, but under grace. The reason sin can't lord it over you is because you're not under law, but under grace. So you have to die to the law. You have to see that you are under grace. There is something to having your mind renewed and seeing who you are in Christ and growing that knowledge and knowing that God is flowing towards you with everything that he has without reservation. And there is a certain agreement with that truth that is called walking by faith and believing in the gospel, believing what it says about us. That when we do, our mind is just full of life and peace, and he quickens our body. He subdues our body on the one hand. He subdues the flesh and the sin nature and quickens our body by the Spirit so that we walk after the Spirit And as we do so, we won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. That's the only way to get free. That's the way freedom from sin works. Freedom from its dominion, freedom from its condemning power, and freedom from even eventually, I wouldn't say freedom from the temptation, but it can, as you walk in the Spirit, the temptation won't be as strong. And not only that, but you also won't give in to it. There's been times when it's taken more effort for me to will myself to commit a sin than it did to just keep abiding in grace. And that's where we want to be, under the grace. So I just felt led to say that. I don't know who that's going to... It's not even a complete thought. I was about to take a nap, and that's what came to mind. So hopefully that helps whoever it's for.